Union News, the 19th of March 2023. Welcome to Union News, your weekly guide to what's happening in the union and labour movement in the UK. In this edition, interviews with pickets on Junior Doctor and UCU picket lines. Education unions announced intensive talks with Tory ministers following latest strikes. Rail workers walk out in first of for further planned strikes over jobs, conditions, and pay, and protests erupt in France.
Union News interviews supporter of junior doctors on the picket line. Junior doctors in the NHS in England have been taking strike action in 2023 to achieve full pay restoration to reverse the steep decline in pay faced by junior doctors since 2008-9. They also seek to agree on a mechanism with the government to prevent any future declines against the cost of living and inflation.
Okay, go ahead. So what do you think today will bring in terms of the kind of outcome of today? Do you think it will help?
I just hope the government is listening. The budget is today, but I've not heard anything that he's going to say about fair pay. He's putting money into other things like nurseries, but the doctors are really, the NHS are crucial to the NHS. We've got amazing, dreadful staff shortage, and the only way that's going to be resolved is by recognising the importance of their work, paying them proper fair pay that makes up for the loss of value. No doctor should have to work for the same as a pret-a-manger worker. It's criminal.
And what do you think will happen if doctors aren't getting paid what they should?
There'll be more strikes. I hope there'll be more strikes. 3 days is the most serious action taken by doctors, which means they know it's serious.
And you think it will put people off from becoming doctors and that they might end up choosing other careers instead?
I think doctors are already leaving quite soon after training because they get burnt out, or they're retiring early, or they're going to other countries. I came came to the strike today with a doctor who is only in her 4th year of training, and she said already friends of hers are going to work abroad or into the private sector. It's not going to solve the staffing crisis we've got. They're really valuable workers. They're the heart of our NHS.
What effect do you think it has on the patients not having enough doctors?
It's not safe care. Doctors are burnt out, they take the wrong decisions maybe, they're exhausted at the end of long shifts, and it's not safe care for patients. So it's in all our interests that they are paid a proper wage.
Cool.
Okay?
I wish you luck today and hope
Okay.
it works out. Thank
All right.
you. Have a great
Education unions announce intensive talks with Tory ministers following latest strikes. Following the recent round of strikes, education unions have announced that Tory ministers have agreed to intensive talks on decreasing teacher take-home pay and reducing workloads. Both sides have agreed to a 2-week period of calm with no additional strike dates announced. Meanwhile, the Public and Commercial Services (PCs) union has confirmed an imminent 5-week strike at the Passport Office over pay, pensions, jobs, and conditions. In addition, the Royal College of Nursing, RCN, Unison, and GMB have suspended further walkouts and urged members to accept the latest government proposal of a one-off payment for 2022-23 and 5% for next year. The settlement would not apply to junior doctors. Meanwhile, PCs has warned of potential delays in holidaymakers getting essential travel documents due to a massive strike of its members at passport offices across Britain. Rail workers walk out in first of 4 further planned strikes over jobs, conditions, and pay. Rail workers employed by 14 train operating companies staged a 24-hour strike on Thursday as part of their ongoing fight to defend jobs and conditions, and demand a pay rise. The strike caused significant disruption, though bosses were able to run more services than usual due to the union suspending Network Rail strikes while workers consider a substandard offer. Strikers were angered by news that bosses at 7 rail companies had awarded themselves pay rises of up to 275%, while workers' pay had been frozen for years. Nearly 1,000 ticket offices in England may be closed or repurposed under the guise of modernising the railway, according to bosses. The RMT says that private train operators are set to make profits of £412 million by September 2023, all funded by the state.
Interview with a UCU picket in Belfast. The UCU dispute is about 4 interconnected issues: unsafe workloads, shrinking pay, pay inequality, and job insecurity. Last week Union News interviewed a picket outside the Ulster University York Street campus in Belfast. Here is what she said.
Were they?
Yeah, we're unpaused. So we were out yesterday, we're out today, and we're due to be out 3 days next week. And branches in England, Scotland and Wales will be out tomorrow, but because it's Paddy's Day, branches here aren't out tomorrow.
Oh right, yeah, because nobody will be about anyway.
Yeah.
But so the pause then, they didn't get anywhere?
Well, they have, they have something that they're sort of just trying to decide whether they're going to push it to members now or not.
Yeah.
And finally, protests erupt in France. Protests erupted in France following President Emmanuel Macron's use of a special constitutional power to push through a measure that raises the retirement age by 2 years without a parliamentary vote. The move, which is hugely unpopular, has sparked mass strikes and protests for the past 2 months, and is now facing a no-confidence vote in the coming days. Workers in various sectors including transport, nuclear power stations, and Paris refuse service are still on strike, and union leaders have called for further strikes and demonstrations. The situation remains tense, with the possibility of the protests spreading and combining with other generalizing issues such as pay.